Morning everyone. I haven't done a live for ages, and today I just felt like coming on, just probably not for very long. We'll see where it goes. I woke up this morning feeling like just so much anxiety. I haven't felt that much anxiety in decades. And when I feel that of anxiety these days, and it just comes out of nowhere, and also it doesn't come along with any thoughts. Like up here there's peace, and here there's just like all this anxiety, then I know it's collective stuff. So I thought I would hop on to kind of share what's coming to me about that anxiety, because if it's collective stuff, which I'm pretty sure it is, it may well help either if you're here now or whoever listens to the replay. Hi everyone who's joining. Morning. So I think I'll speak for maybe Australia, and I think the reason why, so what's coming to me about this, why is there this anxiety build up, is, the announcements over yesterday about, if you don't get that, you're not going in anywhere. Now, you probably, if you're on this channel, you probably fall into kind of one or two camps. You already knew that was coming, and so you're kind of okay with it. If you're in that camp, please don't walk around saying to people, well, but we told you this was coming, because not helpful. Like in any time in my life, when I have been riddled with anxiety or fear or dread, if somebody came up to me and said, yeah, but I could have told you that was going to happen, it kind of didn't make me feel a ton better or remind me of my power. But I think I feel like the anxiety that I'm picking up is a large mass of people that had hoped this wasn't going to happen. Because, okay, here's the really important thing about numbers. I know, they've been lying about the numbers all along, right? We've known that. They're also lying about the number of people, right? Because they want it to look like way more. This is why you're constantly getting stories about we've run out, so many people are booking in, people are ringing up, and there's So, knowing that we have a really low uptake here, what they're doing is like the parent who says, well, I'm not going to force you to do that, but until you do it, I'm going to take away one toy each day till you do it. It's kind of the equivalent of what the government are doing. They're saying, we're going to take away one toy each day till you do what we're going to do. We're not going to mandate it. Oh, lordy no, we couldn't do that because that would be unethical. But what we're going to do is take things away from you, or, okay, here in Victoria, they're like, okay, we've taken them all anyway. You're only getting them back with good behaviour. So here is our opportunity. I know a lot of people will say, well, I'm just going to go and get it because I just want that back. Then we again fall into one of two ways of seeing that. There are those of us who know there is no way for you to get that back through that means, like those means. That is not going to get you anything back. In fact, the only reason you still have any semblance of nice is because there's still a lot of us that haven't had it, right? We're kind of holding the line. But for those people who think, okay, listen, let's get it done. Let's get back to, well, I want to be able to enter there. I want to be able to go out for dinner. I want to be able to do all these things. So I'm just going to have it done. Firstly, I say this to you. International travel. Go write that on your vision board. International travel. Ain't happening. Ain't happening for a really long time. Even though you may already be. Ain't happening. They're very openly telling you, ain't happening. 2024 is being banded around regardless of how many of you have had that. So international travel, which is code for we're speaking bullshit and we're dangling the carrot further and further away from you. So to you, if you know you ain't going to get it, you don't want to get it, and you're starting to feel anxiety about being an outcast, this is the choice that we now have. We either live, believe, take on the energy of outcast, or we band together in unity, in community, and we show people who are making other choices, no, we're not the outcasts. We're the ones living in our power, right? And we don't need anybody to enable us to do that. That is really, that's a mindset. That's an energy that you bring to something. You can be incarcerated in prison in your power, right? This is not something that somebody else gives you. This is something you activate in yourself. So you might have heard me talk right back at the start of all of this last year. And I said, it's like those of us that realize what's going on have been in a cult for a really long time. We're waking up out of that cult. And whenever you leave a cult, the people that are still in it are going to use you as an example of what will happen if you leave. Since the beginning of time, look back at all of them. This is what will happen. You will lose your family, you will lose your friends, you will be an outcast. And those people that are still in the cult are manipulated into staying, certainly by not seeing you in your freedom, but by saying, see, this is how bad it is when you leave. And they have to make sure that, you become the enemy. Because the thing is, the person or the group in power only has power over you when you give it to them. So they have to make sure that the person who's taken their power and left the toxic situation does not look appealing. So it's up to us right now to make sure that we are the appealing ones, right? By finding each other. The only thing that's going to happen now with this whole thing of like, okay, if you don't get you're not going into this restaurant or this cafe or this school or whatever, it's only just going to highlight to us where the like-minded folk are. It's only going to highlight to you even more where people who value their freedom are. So it's actually going to make it kind of easier to find each other. Not in a them and us way, but just in a like, okay, I'm just going to go over here. We'll be over here. You want to join us? Great. It's going to let you know which businesses you want to support. Why would you want to hang out in a place that doesn't want you in it? That's just never been something I've been into. You don't want to have me there. You don't want to hang with me. Brilliant. I'm not going to convince you that you need to. I'm not going to convince you. I'm certainly not going to feel like the outcast because you don't want me in your restaurant. I'm just going to go somewhere where, they do respect the same things that I respect. So now is the time where we have a choice. Do we take on the outcast mentality, or do we really now live as that offspring from the cult? That this is what I said in some videos earlier last year. Imagine that we've bought the plot of land next to the cult. We don't want to stand there screaming at them, you're idiots, oh my God, look at you. We don't want to, sit there in the corner and go, oh my God, this is so terrible. We have nothing here. Look at us starving with nothing. We want to create a community there, a powerfully free community, united, based on respect, based on love, based on unity. And we want to make it look so good that the people that still live in the cult go, I want to be with them. Because whatever they're doing, it feels way better than over here, right? And it's going to be about not judging however many of this they've had, whether they're juiced up to the eyeballs. You can come out of that and you can join us, because at some point they're going to have to, right? At some point, there will be a line for everybody. That doesn't mean it's going to reflect in their choices, but it will certainly reflect in their energy, and it will reflect in how they feel about the whole game, right? There's still a lot of people 100% buying into this game. There are a whole lot of people who are going, yeah, make it harder, bring it on, make it worse for the people who are, team players. They are at some point going to have their line in the sand. They may then at that point find it more and more difficult to navigate themselves out of that, or might feel like they can't at all. But for those of us who we're already navigating out, now is not the time for being so stuck in anxiety that we just like, oh my God, we've been defeated. I see that a lot in comments. I see, not in mine, but in other people's accounts, which I'm not saying has anything to do with that person's account, but it's probably just they have a larger following, maybe they have a wider group of people. You get a lot of, oh, I just feel so hopeless now. Right, that's it. I feel like, right, so should we just give up? Because, you know, there is no time to give up, because you are talking about your life, your well-being, your health, your happiness, your joy, your freedom, your soul's expansion. I don't care what your beliefs are. I don't care if you think, well, when I die, there's nothing, I'm in the ground. You're not dead yet. So you can just be talking about today. And if you do have a bigger, wider belief, it doesn't matter what you believe in. The bigger your belief, the bigger picture your belief, not the bigger picture your belief, the more you have. That's still to come. So there is no need for hopelessness. Exactly. Never give up. Let me see what people are saying. Any questions, any comments? How are you feeling? What is resonating with you about what I'm saying? Hi, everyone. Hello. Lovely to see you all here. They are not going to give us freedom. Yep, that's true. Why would they? The more freedom we have, the less power they have. So they're not going to give it to you. I also don't feel like we need to fight. We don't need to fight it from them. We just stop giving it to them. They can't take our freedom. Yep, that's exactly right. They cannot take our freedom. OUTCAST, we create our own community. Exactly. There are our two choices. There are two choices now. So if your anxiety is one of the ones that I'm feeling, bring it down. Bring it down by knowing the playbook is coming along beautifully, but we're not playing along beautifully. Okay? So in the script, they're doing their bit, but you get to respond in the way you get to respond. You get to like go off script, right? You get to, what's it called? You get to ad lib. You get to ad lib. You get to go rogue, right? Even if it's for an hour a day, a couple of, whatever, you get to go rogue. And that means the whole movie changes. It can't have the outcome that they want if you don't play your part. And the biggest way you can stop playing your part is in what energy you give them to play it out. It's so underrated. It's so underestimated. The energetics of this is so underestimated. I see it all the time. Classic mind control. Yep, exactly. Exactly. When you make great choices, great things happen. Yes, yep. And great opportunities present themselves. So when you feel like I don't even have a choice, what opportunity can you see? Remember, your beliefs cloud your vision and your perception to such an extent that I could literally place something before you and you will not be able to see it if you do not think you would ever see that. They actually did this really interesting show on, I think it was Paul McKenna, and it doesn't matter what you think of Paul McKenna, you know, if everybody's being kind of divvied into like light and dark and whatever, it doesn't matter, right? But the premise of the show was, if you don't believe something, you will not see it. So this man had this belief that, oh, I never win anything. Anyway, they were with him for a different reason. So he thought they were doing this show on the local town. What they did was they actually put things with his name and that he had won everywhere. They put it in shop windows that he walked past. They put stuff on the ground in front of him that he was on the footpath. At one point, they actually had one of those trucks with like a big, huge sandwich board on the side of it with his name saying, you have won however much money, ring this number now. They were filming the whole thing. He did not see any of it. And that's a really powerful take-home message. If you back yourself into a corner where your own beliefs are, I do not have choices, you are not going to see any. If you already think there's no point to any of this, you are not going to see how many people there already are, the shops that will not comply to this. Now, I mean, I've been saying it for a long time. You're most likely not going to be able to live a higher vibratory, energetic, 5D, whatever you want to call it, unity consciousness, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter, whatever language fits to you, you're not going to probably be able to live it at Chadstone. But you never could, because human beings aren't actually designed to live at Chadstone. We're not actually designed to shop at big supermarkets. So yes, there will be changes in your life, but that doesn't mean you don't have options. But the options are going to be maybe off the mainstream, off the main road that you've traveled on for the last 20 years. This is the way I go to work. This is where I shop. This is where I hang out. These are my 5 friends that I always talk about this, and we catch up for brunch on a Saturday. I'm not making light of losing that. I'm not saying there isn't feelings of loss, but what I'm saying is up-leveling, whether energetically, whether physically, whether whatever, always involves choosing to walk away, move away from things that aren't coming along. And so, yeah, you are going to have to look at places that you may not normally look at. The more they push, the people will wake up. Oh, I agree. I am always a little bit heartened whenever the crazy gets crazier, because I think surely at some point they're going to see this. Feeling strong, the like will win. Yes. So for people like you, Monique, for a lot of us, we've got to hold that light. I don't want to pressure you and go, you have to do it for everybody. But here's the thing. Once you're switched on, once your light is shining, it's important for us not to get caught up in the collective swirl of fear and, oh my God, and this is a done deal, because then we get dimmed every single time. And that's definitely the intention again. So let's go back to the analogy of the cult. You've got the members of the cult. Remember, the people that leave the cult, or that even start to wake up within the cult and go, you know what, I think this leader is kind of just taking our money. I don't think they're really, doing this for our benefit. Whenever anybody questions the leader of a cult, are they really as powerful as they say? Are they really as connected as they say? I just watched on Netflix the John of God show. It's like anybody that was sort of saying, he did something that was really inappropriate. Oh, no, that was just, the entity healing you. So even once you start to ask that and you get switched on, the powers of that cult want to make sure you're dampened down. So they're going to throw things at you. They're going to throw scenarios at you in any way they can. The story will adapt to ensure that at some point you're triggered. So I can see Christina saying, what about threatening our kids with the beat? They're going to make sure that at some point you're triggered. You will be triggered. All of you, myself, if we haven't already, we will be. At some point, this choice, this option, this thing, this scenario is going to come into our lives to the extent where we have to make a clear no. And for a lot of parents, that is going to look like taking your kids out of school. It just will. The silver lining there is that they probably weren't getting any benefit from being in school anyway. That it is a place of indoctrination. The other important thing to remember, and that I'm hearing more and more people say, is that again, there are choices. So it's so important to recognize your choices with the school. So one thing, there are schools that will be different. They're already quite in 5D kind of. When I say 5D, please don't turn off if you go, what? Just translate it in your own head. That are already more aware, conscious, whatever. There are parents, so what you've been doing isn't homeschooling. Please know that, okay? What they're getting you to do is a school curriculum at home while you're trying to work at the same time, or while you're trying to whatever. And so they want to totally overwhelm you, and you will go, oh my God, I cannot do this at home. How are teachers doing this? Oh my God, I admire teachers so much. Yeah, great. I'm not saying don't admire teachers, but you are not. Okay, here's an example. Let's say my elderly grandmother needs full-time nursing care. She's demented and needs full-time nursing care. So she gets taken out of the nursing home and put into my home, and I am now 100% responsible for caring for her 24 hours a day. I can't do that. Even as an ex-nurse, I'm going to tell you, I can't do that. Totally overwhelming, totally consumes you. You can't do anything but that. And so as soon as nursing homes would open again, I would go, yep, go back. But nobody's talking about the third option, which is to have full-time care in your own home. Or to start a nursing home of like-minded people where I get to determine who looks after my nana and how they look after her and what kind of care she has. And this is the thing that hasn't been spoken about with education. You have got homeschooling, which is totally different to a teacher's job in your house, you being the teacher, because the curriculum is totally different. It's you need to speak to people who are homeschooling because they will tell you it's totally different. And the other thing is that you have options where you can get teachers who aren't going to be happy to have that, who will happily take on a group of children, and you get them to teach your children. So you just will have choices. It's really important for you to remember you will always have choices. However far you need to be removed from whatever mainstream, there is a community there for you. Also important, don't let your ego go to worst case scenario, okay? Don't imagine people knocking on your door and ripping your children out and jabbing them, because that's worst case scenario, and we are not there. And if you make choices now, you're holding the line, you're doing things, don't let your ego catastrophize. More time in the sun, laughing, dancing, absolutely key. We hold the power within our own consciousness. Yes, we do. People really need to armor themselves with what you're exposed to. Both sides can be draining. Discernment is very important, especially if you are an empath. Yes, please know this. Both sides, playing the same game. Will they find a way to shut down the businesses we align with? That depends on the person. Oh, Jen, I withdrew my 2 school-age kids last week. I love that. I love that. Good on you. Brilliant. Such a powerful choice. It's like, now listen, don't comment, don't write in, don't DM, I don't have kids. So if what I'm about to say makes your brain go, she hasn't got a fucking clue, then just bleep this part out in your brain and come back when you feel like I have got a fucking clue, or just leave permanently. Either works. It's about you knowing that you have choices, and it's about what you're willing to expose your kids to. So yes, you've got your ego's going to go, but I can't, and I this, and I have to work, and da. And if you genuinely fall into that category, I feel for you. Find the best alternative that you can. I get it. Not everybody has this option. Those of us who do, not one of them, doesn't apply to me. If you do have that option, then take it, because the more we make that available, the more it's available to the people who genuinely go, listen, I'm working 8 hours a day, I can't be at the house, I haven't got, or my child has like whatever needs, and you will find choices. An empowered mind will find options and choices, and will find people who are helpful, who will reach out to you. We have seen that time and time again. Community steps up like crazy at times when it's needed. So will they find a way to shut down the businesses we align with? That is entirely up to the person who runs that business, because it'll be about how much they're willing to come out of that system, right? And really, anything that's not happening today, happening to you, we're just imagining. We're just trying to figure it out really without knowing exactly what will be. What we do know is they don't get to determine. We get to determine. We keep forgetting that. We get to determine, right? We've already left the cult. We don't need to keep trying to figure out how to get food from the cult. We're just going to figure it out ourselves. I promise you, as much as they tell you that we are this small, little, tiny minority of Fruit Loops, we are not small. I promise you. Yes, homeschooling is not what you expect. Hen, is that the Homeschooling Association in Victoria, are awesome to ask for advice. Great, thank you. Anyone that knows anything about homeschooling, anyone that knows anything about schools that respect freedom, anyone that knows anything about resources, can you please, when I save this, put it in the comments or DM me and I will put them on the comments. Let's get a resource thing happening for people who want to homeschool. I also did a I did a post recently saying, like, you are needed if you are a doctor, a nurse, an ambo, fiery, whatever you are, and you don't want to get that, and you're feeling like we need you, right? Those of us who have bought the plot of land next to the cult, we need you. We need the doctors, the nurses, the teachers, all the sorts of whatever skills you have, we need them. So let's get a thing of resources happening. Now, I'm mindful that people don't want to speak out maybe just yet because of what ramifications that could have. So what I do want to do is just DM me resources about anything like that, and I will just share it. I can share it anonymously, but even if people just start to know, hey, there's a lot of people here. There's a lot of nurses and doctors that don't intend to get that, right? So when they say to you, you're not going to be able to go to the hospital, I understand that that's confronting. That's confronting for a lot of people. What if I get sick? What if we're going to have a short period of time and then we will have our own places. Okay, I don't want you to sound like that's like a fractured society, like a them and us. It's not that we are building something separate from the others. It's that we are building the new. We are building the new earth. We are creating it. All of us together that have a vision of a different way of doing things. All of us that have a knowing that the old ways always were toxic. But we kind of didn't choose on our own to just go away from them because we're under this illusion that we can't live without them. And so what has almost happened as a gift from this time is that we've been separated from things enough to get, you know, when you're a kid and you grow up in your family and you think that, well, you know, this is what families are like. And it's only really once you step away from your family that you can look at your own and see what was unhealthy within that. It's the same thing. We've now had like enough of a gap away from mainstream education, what it's become, away from mainstream medicine, to go, I don't want any of that. And so in a way, with them saying, well, we're not going to give you access to it anyway, this is kind of the little push that we needed out of the nest to go, okay, time to create our own. And that's where, if you are a doctor or a nurse or a teacher or whatever, and you're not wanting to get that, we need you. We need you. So let's get some kind of thing happening where people can communicate at least with each other. It's easier if both parents have the same perspective. Yeah, that's a tough one. Unfortunately, I'm up against someone who's completely buying into the narrative and can't understand what the big deal is. Whew, yeah. Lots of trust on that one. And lots of day by day, just today. Today, it's not imminent. Today, it's not imminent, and really just staying in that time. That's a big one. That's, let's put that out there. Let's put that out there to get some clarity on that and some, maybe some voices that can speak on that better than I can. Home Education Network. Yep. Okay, great. All right, everyone. Big breath. I'm going for a walk this morning, so I'm mindful of the time. Where I used to do the connection walks is just completely, the storms completely made a lot of the tracks impassable. So I'm looking at a different spot this morning. Any questions before I go? Any comments? How are you? You're welcome. Thank you all for being here. If you're feeling into that same, you know, so that anxiety that I felt this morning, it's so interesting that as soon as I started to think, it's probably not mine, it's probably collective, and I'm going to do a live and talking about the choice that we have right now between OUTCAST or actually living in our freedom. We get to choose which one we're doing. As soon as I started to think of that, the anxiety waned. And then I knew, like, okay, that's a message that I need to share, because if that's helping me feel better, then that's going to help everybody feel better. So you're all welcome. It's not about being outcasts. You keep in your power, make your choices, live in the day, because the ego can go and catastrophize and imagine worst case scenarios. And of course, every outside media is inviting us to do that. You know, they're always telling us where they want us to go. Remember, it is your energy that is being harnessed. It is your power that is being harnessed. And when you remove that from them, the whole thing falls apart. All right, everyone. Much love. Have a lovely day. And resources, please put them on the replay or DM them to me and I will put them in, and we'll start to get a thread going about, let's start with education. Let's get a thread going about education and choices, because people need to know homeschooling is not you doing a state curriculum in your house with every one of your children alongside whatever else you got going on in your life. It's not the same thing. All right, everyone. Much love.